So hi everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Conversations with Mentors. And I'm really excited about today's episode. We have Welsh ace Jordan Hart with us. So, welcome, Jordan.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just written down a short bio for you, so I hope I did it justice. Okay, so it was a long list of achievements, so I couldn't write them all. But Jordan has an impressive profile at just 25 years of age. She has several BWF international challenges and series titles, in addition to many podium finishes. Some of her most recent wins include winning the Jamaica Caribou, Latvia, and Polish internationals in 2019, as well as finishing runner-up in Egypt and Slovakia. She's currently number 75 in the world rankings and has been a national team member for Wales since 2005. So I hope that I summed that up correctly and I didn't missay anything.
No, it's perfect.
Okay, so I think we should do a little fun icebreaker if you're down for that. A few rapid fire questions. Okay, first one. Do you prefer cardio or weights?
Tough question. Actually, I would say cardio, even though it hits your lungs a lot more.
What's your favorite holiday?
I think probably Christmas. Yeah, for sure. Christmas, I think.
Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Oh, that's difficult. From the UK, we drink a lot of tea, but I love going out to get a coffee. So I would say coffee.
Okay. Favorite day of the week?
Whatever rest day that is.
Same.
Whatever day I get a rest. So usually Sunday is my favorite day.
Okay. If you had no fears for a day, what would you do?
I quite like the idea of maybe going like skydiving or bungee jumping or something like this. But I kind of think when I get up there to actually do it, I think I'd probably chicken out. So if I had no fear, then I'd probably do those things.
Yeah, the first episode with HK visiting, he also said the same thing, the bungee jumping. Yeah. Do you like pineapple on pizza or no?
Yeah, this is such a common question now.
Yeah.
I think pizza is one of my, if I have like a treat, I would have pizza. So yeah, pineapple on pizza is fine with me. Anything on pizza, really.
Wow. We're so divided on that, so yeah. And last one, what is your favorite tournament to play?
Good question. I guess probably Jamaica has a special place in my heart because it was my first tournament win ever, like on the BWF international circuit.
Yeah.
So I would probably say this tournament because of the memories it has, but also the Jamaican people are always so kind and so nice. And now that they know that I like coming to Jamaica, they always cheer for me, which is kind. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So we're gonna begin with some of the questions, and I guess this is probably based on like your start in your badminton career. So how old were you when you started playing badminton, and how did that come about?
So I was 8 years of age. My dad really wanted me to be involved in sport. I think sport is a big part of my family's life. And we watch all sport, and I think my dad loves loves the idea of I have a little sister too, so we did everything when we were younger. But throughout my life, I've always struggled a little bit with weight. And basically, my dad knew this, and my dad also wanted me to be involved in sport so I would be fit and active and healthy. So we went to the local leisure centre one day. My dad was actually taking me swimming. And as we were leaving the swimming pool, there was a sign saying badminton club. So my dad chucked me into the club and was like, go and play badminton. My family, I think my dad played a tiny bit. My mum, I don't think, played at all. So, so yeah, I just went and I played, and I was kind of quite good at all types of sports. I kind of took quite well to many different things. So I just went along and played, and the rest is history, really.
Wow, that was really a coincidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and how was it, the balancing act between, balancing badminton and your school life? Like whether it was in high school or university, and how difficult was that process?
You can tell by my face.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say that this is not advice for sure for anybody. Don't do it how I did it.
Yeah.
But for sure, badminton kind of came first, and school was kind of second. I chose my university because it had a badminton program. I didn't really choose my university for the course. When I was younger, I had so much time off school for training and things like this. So I did really struggle, but luckily I kind of always got through it, and I kind of just did enough just to do it. And I have got a degree, and I have all my qualifications. So I was lucky that I was able to do it. I have friends that would study and study and study really hard. But I was a bit lucky that I did it all a bit last minute. But probably don't take that as advice.
So, and was it Loughborough University you went to?
Yeah, exactly. I went to Loughborough. I kind of I went there, and I really struggled to start with, being far away from my family, and I also struggled to balance training and university, because obviously university is harder. So I didn't quite get the balance correctly, and I think both struggled actually, because um, I was kind of not doing training as well as I probably should have, and also not doing my degree probably as well as I should have. But I'm very grateful for to be able to have gone to Loughborough to get my degree, because I think now every job that you apply for, you kind of need, not every job, but most jobs, you kind of need something like this. So I'm glad that I have that with me now. So
Yeah. Well, I brought that up because that was also one of my choices to go to
okay,
university, Loughborough. Yeah.
okay.
And a lot of people said that their badminton setup was really good.
Yeah, I graduated a few years ago now, so I haven't been there for a while. But when I was there, we had a good setup with some good players, and it's also where I teamed up with my coach, my current coach. So I'm very lucky that I was able to go to Loughborough, because if he hadn't have come to Loughborough and I hadn't have teamed up with him, then I may not have had the success that I've had. So it's quite lucky, really.
Okay. And since you mentioned training and sometimes it was a bit of a struggle, well, how did you go through a tough training block or like a long string of tournaments or whatever that case was?
I think I would say I'm a bit of a contradiction. Sometimes I'm very mentally strong, and sometimes I cannot be. So for badminton, I think actually I've learned to be mentally strong now. I don't think it's natural. I think that I've had to learn this. And actually, in my personal life, sometimes I'm not very strong, and I let little things get on top of me. So I think that's why I struggled to begin with. But I had a really good mentor with my coach. Um, so he's taught me how to now handle this. So you kind of have to be lucky that you have a figure or a mentor that that you can call upon for this type of experience, because there's not a lot many people that have that experience. But yeah, I just kind of got through it. I just kind of dug in, and I just kind of did it. Probably there was a lot easier way to do it than I did. So again, don't take advice from me. But sometimes you just got to get through it, and I think that's how I did it.
Okay. And well, since we're kind of on like the theme of like struggle, what are some of the like the cons of being a badminton player from like a small badminton nation, coming from Wales? Yeah.
Yeah, I think obviously I'm not able to actually be in Wales. So obviously I'm from Wales and my family is based in Wales. My absolute dream would be to live 2 minutes around the corner from my mum and dad. But since I was 18, so I'm 25 now, I've not been able to live where I'm from. And also not even just in like the town or the area, actually just not in Wales whatsoever, because there's not that level of training for me to be a full-time badminton player. So obviously I've had to sacrifice a lot in terms of seeing my family and my home since I was 18. So all I've known really is to have to be away from my parents, which is not how, if I had my dream set up, then that's not how it would be. And then also obviously for badminton, it's obviously a minority sport in Wales. So the backing and the support and like the funding that's available to me is quite small compared to other countries, and also compared to what I have to spend to be able to be an elite badminton player. Of course, I'm very grateful for like sponsors and the funding that I have received over the years. But if you look at some other countries, they have a full national team, full national setup. Obviously, they benefit from this. So, but to be honest with you, the main thing is I have to be away from my parents. That's the main downside to being from Wales, because of there's not the level of players and standard of training that I can be a full-time player.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the same thing for me right now. Well, I've been fortunate to come back to Trinidad because of the pandemic, but training away, and well, I think the main thing for me would be the financial support, because well, in Trinidad we focus a lot more on like athletics, so football and cricket. So yeah, I think I'll yeah.
You
What?
guys are good at those.
Yeah. Who inspired you the most as a young athlete, now getting into badminton, and has that changed now?
I think just in personal life and in general, my parents inspire me a lot. My parents' work ethic, my parents' desire to like succeed, and their strengths. I think so outside of badminton, they are my biggest motivation, I think, to obviously you have to play badminton for yourself, but of course your parents are going to be proud of you no matter what. But when you are winning and when you are making huge achievements, then of course they're going to probably be even prouder. So yeah, they are crazy. They're crazy people, but they work so hard. So yeah, personal life then. Badminton wise or athlete wise, my dad has a lot of a background in boxing, so I've always watched boxing over the years, and I love the training mentality of a boxer and the work ethic. So I grew up watching like Joe Calzaghe, who is a Welsh boxer. He's probably one of my sporting heroes type of thing. And also, when you're young, obviously being from the UK, I was lucky enough to go to the All England. So for many years, I was able to see like top badminton players all the time. So I think one memory sticks in my mind was I actually went and watched Pi Hong Yan. She's an Asian player, but she played for France. And I watched, that's one game that kind of just sticks in my mind, that I watched and was like, wow, that's really top level badminton. I would love to be able to play in the All England one day, which I thankfully have. So I kind of achieved that goal. But I literally watch all sport. So like the other night I was watching NFL, I watched darts, I watched cricket, so sport is a huge thing. So all athletes I kind of look at and think, you know, what are they doing that's good? How can I get to the level of they're at in my own sport, I think.
Okay, so that's a big inspiration for you, like watching different sports and athletes and, you know, seeing how they carry about themselves and stuff like that.
So I think like, of course you just want to be the best that you can be. So all of the elite athletes are trying to be the best that they can be.
Yeah.
Some people just unfortunately don't have the ability to get to that absolute highest pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah.
But it's not always going to be easy. So the ones that actually I like the ones that work hard. The ones that comes easy to, I probably don't watch as much. The ones that have to work hard and go through the struggles, I kind of relate to that a lot more. So that's probably my motivations.
Okay. Have you ever experienced a mental block, like let's say during a match? It could be like when uh after a certain stage you start losing points or it's against the same person you've lost to.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think most people will say yes. I think, well, I would hope so anyway. I think I think I can I can reel off so many instances, so many matches that maybe I've sometimes you just walk on the court and you play and you have, you know, you're not really sure what's going on, but you're not performing. And you're like, what is going on? I've prepared exactly the same as I have before. I've done everything that I can. I've eaten well. I've slept well. And sometimes you just walk on and you're just like, what is going on? So I think that is just elite sport. I think also it also switches around. So also I've had instances where I've been really far down in the match and something has just clicked in my head, or my coach has said something that just has made my brain switch. And there's been lots of instances that I've come back from behind in matches, as much as like 16-8, 17-10 down, and being able to come back and win. It also does work the other way. So I've also been up in matches and I can kind of see the end. And I'm like, oh, I'm nearly at the end here. And I've gone on to lose the match. So, but it's being able to turn those instances where you are behind and be able to turn them into wins. But I hope everyone has suffered some sort of mental block, or hope it's not just me. But
Yeah, I've definitely been through a lot of those uh, instances. But what do you do? Let's say when that switch doesn't flip, or you don't, it, like you can't seem to hear anything that the coach is saying. Like, what do you do when you're under that kind of pressure? Is there anything really?
I think for me, myself and my coach, we talk a lot about consistency. So when I've had my periods where I've had success, like my 2019 season, we we trained and we had a huge amount of consistency in training. I never really had a time where, luckily, I wasn't injured or I didn't get an injury or anything like a major injury. Maybe had some small niggles, but nothing major. And every single day I was training. Even if I was, tired, maybe we adapted the session, but we stuck with it and we trained and we worked hard and so in those instances when I'm on the court and it's tough and I'm not really sure what's going on and nothing's working and I cannot seem to just switch out of it. And I think this comes back to before when we spoke about my parents and their strength and their work ethic. I think you just have to work hard. You're on the court. You can't hit your best shots. You can't. You're not getting any net cords. You're missing the court by small amounts. Actually, this is when I just think right now nothing's working. We just got to work hard. We got to stay in the rally. We have to work as hard as we can, move as fast as we can, get to every shuttle, because you don't know what the other person is thinking. So the more shuttles you get to, they might be thinking, oh, what's happening here? I was beating Jordan easy and now she's getting to everything. Then they might think, oh, I can't hit my winners. So singles especially is such a crazy game. Like you have
Yeah.
to be crazy to play singles. So yeah, but that's the working hard and the work ethic is something that I've learned. Like that's not natural to me. It's
Yeah.
something that I've had to speak with my coach about and learn about because that's I can get quite frustrated on the court.
Yeah.
Maybe if things haven't been going correctly for me, and maybe I've just been like, oh, it's not my day today. I can't do it. None of my shots are working. But I think now that's why I had my success, because I have the confidence of the training behind me that I'm able to work hard and I'm able to run and I'm able to stay on the court for as long as possible.
Yeah, that's a really good perspective on that. Yes, I think a lot of people learn from your tips. Okay, have you ever experienced a time where, let's say, you've lost motivation to train, or probably not really lost motivation, or have been demotivated, and what do you do in those instances?
Um, I think that it's really easy when everything is going well. So when training is going well, when you have tournaments, when you're doing well, it's quite easy.
Yeah,
And you don't actually realize in those periods of time that it's how good it is until you
yeah,
maybe hit a patch where you're struggling or you're tired or you've had maybe lots of tournaments, or maybe for example now in COVID you have no tournaments, so maybe you
yeah.
feel like every day you're just training and you're like, what am I training for?
Hmm.
And I think that everyone has the feeling of I feel like all I'm doing right now is just going to the hall, hitting the shuttle, coming home. But I think then if you can get through that time and if you can just push on, then because badminton is like this all the time. It's never like this. This would be perfect.
Yeah.
But it's not. And I think actually, like for example, I've just had COVID, so I've been. I know we spoke a little bit via email, but so I've been quite unwell, and I had to have time off, and now just having 2 weeks off, I've come back to training, and just before Christmas, I was maybe struggling, thinking a little bit like, am I improving? Am I getting better? But just having 2 weeks off and coming back, I'm like, oh, actually, I was doing quite well before Christmas, because now I'm jumping in training. I'm thinking, oh, am I getting high? Is that jump good? And I'm trying to chase the shuttle in training, for example, today, and I think actually before Christmas, I was getting these shuttles easy, so I must have been doing okay. So sometimes you just have to push on. I think that's quite a common theme that we'll probably have in our chat is just have to kind of get through it. It's not easy though, for sure. It's not easy. And yeah, it's especially now with no tournaments or only a couple of tournaments, it's difficult, but that's elite athlete. That is being an elite athlete at the moment. So
Yeah, I think too that I didn't realize how good I had it until the pandemic, because I haven't been able to train, like actually train since March on a court, March of last year. So it's like only been home workouts for me ever since. And well, I mean, I'm a homebody, so when they talked about the stay-at-home order, I didn't really mind it. So it wasn't until like October, November that I started really getting cabin fever. So I'm like, before I was really struggling, like, because it was every day that I had to train, and then going on to, not training at all and just doing home workouts. I'm like, I would take that any day of the week now.
Yeah, I know. I completely understand. In the first lockdown, so I was in England originally when the pandemic hit. So we went into lockdown in March, and actually I was like, oh, I'm at home. This is quite nice. Like maybe for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I was like, oh wait, now this isn't so nice anymore.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Okay. Was there ever a time where you had to play through an injury or pain, and what was that situation like? Would you advise an athlete to play through pain?
I would say don't do it. it's it's so difficult.
Yeah.
So this this has actually happened to me, and me and my coach for sure had the biggest argument about this. So I played. I think it was maybe 2019. So I was obviously doing really well, and I was playing well. And oh no, sorry, not 20. It was 2018. It was the year before.
Okay.
So I was training with my coach, and we were doing okay, and I was enjoying my badminton. But I got a really bad feeling in my foot. I had a lot of pain in my foot, and we went to Spain, played the Spanish IC, and I hadn't really been training, but I had a game that I thought that I could win.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna play. Maybe didn't tell my coach how bad my foot was. And of course, when you're playing a game and you know you have a small injury, or you know maybe a big injury, or you're in pain, when you hit those tough moments in the game, you will always fall back on that. So you always think, oh, I played that long rally, it didn't go my way, and my
Yeah.
foot hurt.
Yeah.
So that's the first time that I've probably played through quite a bad injury, because after that tournament I had to have I think around 6 to 8 weeks off, because I had like a stress fracture in my foot. And maybe if I hadn't have played, maybe I would have only had 4 weeks off. So yes, I've done it. And would I do it again? No, I don't think so. And I ended up losing the game anyway. So it's like,
No.
do you want to try and have to perform when you're not at your best? No, I know some instances, like there will be times where people will be like, oh, I need those points. Maybe they're trying to qualify for something.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It's, you have to think about the big picture and long term. So yeah, don't do it.
Okay, well, that question wasn't really from an athlete. Another athlete. I asked that question because it's a big part of my career so far. I don't. I think there's probably been about, let's say, 20% where I've played injury free, like from
Yeah.
since the start to right now. I've always had this recurring shin splints issue, and it was in 2019. I was taking part in Pan Am Juniors, and it just started to flare up all the time. In training, it was good, and it didn't really act up. And yeah, that was the first time it started to act up again, and it was the worst pain. I mean, I always feel pain when I play, but it was the worst pain out of all of the times. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna block it out, because I don't really get to play outside of Trinidad that much. And I was just thinking about, all the sacrifices my parents had to put financially. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna play. I'm not gonna tell the coach or anything. And I just blocked out the pain for that match. But as soon as the match was over, the pain just came back in an instant. And as soon as I came off the court, it they realized that I couldn't even walk back to the area we were at, and they end up calling the physio, and she basically told me that it was she's never seen a shin so swollen before. And so I ended up had to pull out of mixed doubles, because I had to play mixed doubles probably like an hour and a half after. So we had to pull out of that as well. And she just basically wondered why if I was going through that much pain, why didn't I stop? And yeah, but I never had that experience where, well, I always thought that, well, I wouldn't be able to play badminton without shin splints. It's become that normal to me. That's why I'm also grateful for this quarantine period, so that I can actually find the root of the problem, and working with a physio and so on. So I will take your advice for next time.
Yeah, for sure. Please take my advice.
Yeah, I'm focusing on longevity right now. So
Yes.
I don't want to, stop playing at, let's say, 25 or something.
No, exactly. No, do please take my advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I had to learn it the hard way. Okay, now switching things up to like a more lighter topic. Uh, what is something you'd say that you didn't expect in the life of a badminton player?
So even like say 1 year ago, if you'd have, or maybe even 6 months ago, if you'd have told me that I'd have to move to another country, um, like England and Wales, they are different countries, but that you
Yeah.
can drive in between. So I've lived in
Okay.
England since I was 18,
Yeah.
but so it's I can still jump in the car. It's a long drive, but I can still do it. So if you told me that I was here in Poland, living, training with the national team, I would say that you were crazy. So probably, yeah, living in a completely different country. I don't speak the language. I don't know where I'm going. Thank goodness for Google Maps, otherwise I would have no idea what is going on. um, but I think actually, like, it's a bit weird, but sometimes I will like be talking with my mum or something, and I will say, "Isn't it weird, like how we are here? Like, isn't it weird how I'm a badminton player from that day that my dad just chucked me into the badminton hall?
Yeah.
Like, isn't it so strange? Like, and the people that I've met, and the experiences that I've had, and the countries that I've been able to travel to." So just actually just being a badminton player, like, is a bit weird. Obviously in a good way. It's opened so many doors for me, and I've had so many experiences, and probably experienced more in my 25 years than some people experience in their whole life. So I'm
Yeah.
forever grateful for the opportunities that it's given me. But yeah, like it's weird sometimes.
Yeah.
You have to step back and you have to reflect. Like I used to when I was a child, like when I was in school, like when you try and explain to somebody like, "Oh, I'm going here today. I'm going to this country today,"
Yeah.
people don't really understand. People think it's weird too, and I think it's weird as well. But it's a good weird.
And even too, when I was looking back at your results, especially in 2019, imagine telling people, you had to go to Jamaica or Barbados or Latvia.
Yeah, I know. I mean, until 2019, I've basically just been like traveling around Europe, just going to the normal tournaments, but
Yeah.
not really doing a lot, and not really. I didn't really know how to win. I was just kind of just going and traveling. So I had to go to, and I had to travel to places like Jamaica, like Barbados, like Cuba to learn. Okay, this is first round. You're gonna win. You have to go to the next one,
Yeah.
and then those experiences then transferred into tournaments that I would usually play. I was actually winning like Latvia, Poland, um, those type of places that I wouldn't usually go to, then and probably lose first, second round, maybe get to a quarter. Then I
Yeah.
was winning those tournaments. So, but I've been to some crazy places, some really
Yeah.
cool places, but also some crazy ones too.
But I like that. Oh, you said yeah, you had to learn how to win. So is that like more on the side of building that mental endurance for, let's say, like that week of tournament, always progressing towards the next round?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to learn how to win, and it didn't really come easy. Like I had a lot of experience because I come from a small nation. I was playing senior international badminton from a very young age. I was maybe playing senior international badminton from around, I would say 16, but I still hadn't found the success yet, the or how to get that success. And you can keep going to tournaments, and you can keep trying to win, but at the end of the day everyone wants to win the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And it's not just good enough just to win one game. Of course, sometimes it is. Sometimes you have a really, really good win, but it's learning how to win and then win again. Because, for example, like before my 2019 season, maybe I would have one good win or one good performance, and I wasn't really able to transfer that into the next round. So I would always kind of maybe have a good performance and it would always drop off. So it's learning how to build upon wins rather than just winning, going home because you lose the next round. Because that's not how to build your world ranking. That's not how to find the success. So, but unless you are able to be in an environment where you have those multiple wins, then you may just be like a player that is just going from tournament to tournament like I was, and just entering, seeing how it goes, and not really finding those really high success points.
Yeah, I think you put it very well. You know, I think one of the parts that we are all experiencing, I guess this is a part of the athlete complex, is, always setting goals, whether it's short term, medium term, or long term. But how do you build present moment focus, or how do you still try to stay in the present? Because instead of always looking ahead, and because sometimes when you look ahead too much, you tend to get overwhelmed, or yeah.
I am that person. So if you speak to my coach, I actually he talks about maybe, like, for example, so I will start trying to qualify for the Commonwealth Games. So from this month, for the next 12 months, that's my goal. But he's been talking about, setting ourselves up for a good world ranking position, so that now when the qualification period starts, I can kind of, progress and try and get my world ranking up into a good position for qualification. But he wanted to talk about that maybe 12 months, 18 months ago. And I am there like, I cannot even think about what is going to happen next week, let alone what is going to happen in 18 months, 12 months.
Yeah.
So he is a planner, so he loves to plan. I am not. I am like, coach, what are we doing? What tournaments are we entering?
Yeah.
What is my goal? Which he is trying to make me do a little bit more myself, because obviously, it's not, you have to have some input. I have input, of course, but he's so knowledgeable and so experienced and things like that, that actually, because I fully trust him and fully trust his experience, I'm actually quite happy to just, what he says, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So, but I also know some people that need to have a plan, even written down sometimes, that, okay, next week, this is our goal. In a month, this is our goal. But it just works differently. Is that you? Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I would get so stressed and so worried that would overwhelm me. So I'm lucky that he is. That's why I think we work well, because he is the planner and I am not.
Yeah, I think I need someone that's the opposite to me, because, I'm always planning, and, sometimes I get so overwhelmed because, I'm already planning for like next year or like 6 months down the road, and every day I have something written down for like, okay, this is what I need to accomplish. So it's like short term, long term goals. And I kind of just need someone to, bring me back into the present, because, you can't always look ahead all the time. So, yeah.
No, I think, like, of course, for example, you don't know what happens, like COVID, like,
Yeah.
I'm sure people, even me, I had, one thing I am quite good at is organizing, like, like tournaments, like because I have to organize my flights, my accommodation, where I'm gonna stay, my entry, everything. So I am quite good at organizing and stuff like that. So, but I had organized for tournaments like months in advance, booked everything, had all stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then COVID hits, you have no idea what's going on. So
Yeah, COVID taught me that, sometimes your plans don't follow through. Or I basically had to throw out everything because, well, I couldn't travel anymore. Oh, I thought this was a really good question. Um, since you've experienced a lot of success, how do you come down from, having such a high, or let's say the complete opposite, a low? Yeah, so let's say you've accomplished one of your big goals, like winning a tournament, or a low, like playing below average on a given day.
so me and my coach actually spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. So when I've had success, actually, when it's happening, you don't actually fully. And this is probably advice probably to take from me, is if you have success, is you have to really try and to enjoy it in that moment, but actually you don't really have enough time. And that's one thing that is so crazy to me. Like, for example, when I won Jamaica, I then flew straight from Jamaica to Cuba, and I won Cuba. But actually, I never really had chance to really enjoy the fact that I'd won Jamaica. Maybe on the Sunday night,
Yeah.
I remember going out for a meal. You know Sam Ricketts from Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah, so me and my coach went out for dinner with Sam and his parents to a really nice restaurant. So, but then even at the restaurant, I was thinking, okay, have a nice meal, but you have a tournament next week. You
Wow.
know, yeah. So it's so it is. I would have loved to have maybe a cocktail or a pizza, or but actually at the time it was like, okay, well done, but okay, now we have to think about packing, good sleep, good travel to Cuba, where's my visa, what are we going to bring from Jamaica to Cuba, I need to get washing, like it's so it's so crazy. And now I
Yeah.
look back, I kind of regret, well, not regret, but I would have loved to have been able to win and then really, really enjoy that success. But actually, when you have that success, you don't want it to end. So
Yeah.
you are really conscious of not falling off. In in the UK, it's called falling off the wagon. So not falling off that high. So you want to do everything you can to protect the high, and maybe you don't
Yeah.
enjoy the experience as much. Maybe when I retire and I look back, then I can really fully enjoy the success, hopefully the more success that I have, but really trying to enjoy that success, because you're it's not going to last forever, and you're not going to win every tournament, and you're not always going to play well, and so you have to try really hard. It's so difficult though to enjoy those
Yeah.
really high moments.
Yeah.
So
And I think coming off from what you said, like, people trying to protect that high, um, have you ever experienced that, like, in terms of, well, I know a lot of athletes talk about, like, when they've gone to the Olympics, everything, the media is focused on them, and let's say they perform really well, and, it's been a goal that they've worked towards for a really long time. And then as soon as the Olympics finish is like, they feel like they've been going at full speed into a brick wall because like they don't really know what to do after that moment. So have you ever experienced that?
I think, for example, I understand why athletes feel like that, and I think mental health in sport is such a huge thing now,
Yeah.
and you see a lot of athletes suffering when they retire because their whole life is about performance and their whole
Yeah.
life is about training and performing and competing and doing well. So when they wake up then on a normal day and they're like, what am I supposed to do now? Why, you know, it's, so I understand why this happens. I think for me, right now, I'm lucky enough to still be chasing those experiences. So I think, of course, for example, after you've won a tournament, like actually the feeling the next day, your body, your mind, your body, actually sometimes you can get quite ill after you win a tournament
Yeah.
because your whole body just goes and it's like, oh my goodness, what has just happened? And I found this a lot. That's probably what I when I get ill, I get very, very ill. I'm either fine and I'm doing really well, but
Yeah.
elite athletes, you're always on the edge of, if you're really fit, you're always kind of on the edge of getting ill because your body is always being pushed to the maximum.
Yeah.
And so for me, this is something that I have to try and manage. So for me, it's not so much a mental drop off, it's more of a physical, like all the pressure is lifted and I actually then get quite ill. Um, I think that is part of the territory for me anyway. These are these are the type of things that I kind of know that's going to happen. I mean, maybe when I go to, if I am lucky enough to go to the Commonwealth Games and I'm in and around that environment, and then the next week, you know, you're out of the bubble, you're out of the media, you're out of all that type of thing,
Yeah.
and probably those type of things do happen. But it's kind of just being an elite athlete. Obviously, you try and manage, but actually, those type of things are normal, I think.
Yeah, when I was reading about that, and people like Lolo Jones and Laurie Hernandez and even Michael Phelps were talking about that. It's like the weight of winning gold medals is like it really took a toll on them after the Olympics. And reading about how Michael Phelps after the 2012 Olympics, he wanted to commit suicide, and I'm like, wow, one of the greatest Olympians of all time, the most decorated Olympian, experience something like that. Because
Yeah,
even winning some gold, I mean, he said it wasn't his best Olympics because he didn't win gold and everything. I guess that's Phelps standard, but yeah, it was
yeah,
really shocking to see. And people spend their whole lives working towards that one goal, and when it's over, it's like, yeah, really tough on them.
yeah. I think mental health is it's it's so much better now. Like as in, it gets so much more airtime. But yeah, I think athletes really struggle with the switching off after competing. I think that's why so many athletes go into coaching because they still want to be in and around the sport.
Yeah.
You're not actually doing it yourself, but you're in the performance environment.
Yeah.
So I think that's so common why people actually go straight from badminton into coaching badminton sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's sort of like therapeutic for them in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've already taken up a lot of your time. So one of the closing questions I have here is, what do you think the most important thing is for athletes to be doing right now in this COVID time, especially how some athletes still aren't able to go on court?
I think, well, obviously, one, keep try and keep as healthy and as safe as possible. I unfortunately did get COVID, so, and I was really lucky that I have been able to come out the other side and go back to training. So yeah, I'm very thankful for that. I think that actually when we're in this time, maybe we can't go on court and stuff like that. Try and do as much as you can to be specific about your sport. So when COVID first hit, like we said before, I was kind of like, at home. I was working out, but it wasn't really sport specific. It was more going for a run or doing a bike, and I kind of let the badminton side fall away. So, for example, we can all go outside the house or even in your bedroom or whatever and practice the badminton movements, just because muscle memory and stuff like this. I know, like, I had 2 weeks off because I got COVID, and the worst thing for me right now is that I've gone back on the court and performing the same, you take for granted performing the same movements over and over and over and again when you are able to train on a court. So you will never be able to replicate what you can do on a court, off a court, but it's all about keeping that muscle memory and keeping all your badminton movements and your shoulders, like shadow with your racket, and just try and keep as much as a badminton player as you can. It's really difficult, and because I don't train at a national, when I was in the UK, because I don't train at a national centre, I wasn't able to go back to court as soon as some of the other people in the UK were, because obviously Wales don't have really the national setup that, for example, England has. So I completely understand where people are coming from. But yeah, just don't forget that you're a badminton player. Of course, for different sports, will be different advice for them, but I'm sure that they'll be told, the same as, I don't know, football, make sure you're with a ball and stuff like this. And swimmers, make sure your shoulders are doing, stroke movements and stuff like that.
Okay, and any last piece of advice or thoughts or anything you'd like to say as we're wrapping up?
Well, obviously, thank you for inviting me. Obviously, that's first. I'm very grateful. I think that I do a little bit of coaching, some group coaching with mainly juniors. I work a little bit with juniors, and I always say that if you kind of want an easy lifestyle, or if you don't want to feel like your body's falling apart, don't choose badminton.
Good advice.
I think people underestimate how hard badminton is. So if you're not getting up every day and if your body feels fine, you're not training hard enough. Like, if you're not tired, you're not working hard enough. So don't choose badminton if you're not afraid to work hard and be in pain, because badminton's a crazy sport for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I mean, in Trinidad, it's still so underrated, and anytime people ask what sport you're doing and I say badminton, I still get the same looks like, why is she training for a backyard sport? Or so yeah. Anyway, thank you, Jordan, for being a part of Conversations with Mentors, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm definitely taking a lot away from this, and if the viewers want to, let's say, get in touch with you or keep up to date with you, where can they find you on social media or otherwise?
Yeah, so on Twitter and Instagram, my handle is at Jordan Jane Hart. And then also have a Facebook page, Jordan Hart Badminton. But yeah, look, if anyone has any questions, or if anyone just wants to chat, or if anyone needs any advice, or is just wants to know what I'm doing or anything like that, then yeah, please feel free to get in touch. It's not a problem. We have a lot more time now in COVID, so I'm on my phone more. So I can do to help, then I'm more than happy to try and help. It's not a problem.
Okay, thanks so much, and I'll put your information in the description box below on YouTube. And yeah, thanks again for being a part of this, and thanks everyone who's watching. And yeah, I'll see you guys for the next episode.